when we look at organization, over the years I've talked to a lot of parents about how is your child's organizational system? Is he organized? And inevitably, one of the answers I get is, yeah, my child's really organized. He knows where to put his pencils away. Or my child always puts his Pokemon little statuettes in exactly the same place on his shelf. And they would say, yeah, he's really organized because he knows exactly where to put things away. And I'll go, well, is he organized with his homework? Does he turn his homework in? Does he know how to do his homework at home without coaching? And the parents are like, oh, no, he can't do that at all. And over the years, I really thought about it. And I thought, you know, we use one word, organization, to represent so many different types of systems. So I developed these words to help define different organizational tasks. And one is static organization, and the other is dynamic organization. And what static organization represents is a permanence in time, a permanence in place, a permanence in structure. What dynamic organization represents is shifting time loads, shifting priorities, shifting structures. And when we look at this, we can start to understand where our children are breaking down in their organizational tasks. The majority of students with organizational problems have the problem around the dynamic organizational tasks. They can't deal with the constant adjustment, the shifting workload, the shifting tasks, the shifting place where we're going to do that task. But what they often can do the best is the homework that always follows the same permanence or place or time. So an example of dynamic organizational problems or dynamic organizational tasks are the unpredictable nightly assignments, the unpredictable or the long-term assignments where you can't quite figure out, I know it's due 2 weeks from now, but what does that mean for today? It's not due for 2 weeks, so why should I have to even bother with it today? We've got group work, which is dynamic since it requires a lot of input from many people. We've got spontaneous family needs that jump into the middle of a homework assignment and may remove our ability to work on homework at the time that we structured it for. We've got binders that are static in the sense that we can set up the structure of the binder, but dynamic because one piece of paper in the binder may move around depending on where we are in that homework task. So for example, when we're in our English class, the teacher might give an English assignment that the child puts into his to-do pile, to-do section in his homework or his English section of homework. When he gets home, he takes it out of the to-do section, he works on it. Now he's got to move it over to the turn-in pile of the homework, and then he's got to go to school and remember to actually get it out of the binder and turn it in. So while we've got some structure behind it, it's still dynamic because we're shifting the place of this paper, and we need to shift it all the way back into the classroom to get it turned in, which is a whole nother problem, is just even remembering to turn in an assignment, because as children age up, it becomes less defined in a class where the assignments get turned in, when you're supposed to turn them in. Students are just intuitively supposed to figure out, it's due today, I better hand it to my teacher, even if the teacher doesn't ask for it. An example of static organizational tasks, again, these very defined tasks are where you put your clothes in your bedroom, that initial structure of setting up the binder. That whole spelling word system we do at school is a good example of a static task. Teachers often assign the spelling words on Monday. They ask children their homework is often to go home and write the spelling words 3 times, each word 3 times. This is every single Monday. You write this out 3 times. Every Tuesday, you put that word into a sentence that's grammatically correct and makes sense based on the word meaning. And on Wednesday, you take a spelling test. And if you pass the spelling test, then you often don't have to take the test again on Friday. Then you get this little moment of free time in school. And this system repeats every single week during language arts time in a class. What you do in class, what you do at home related to spelling words, that's static. Our children have the best chance of doing their static tasks. One of my static routines that I built into my schedule is every Saturday morning for the last 15 years, I play tennis at 8 a.m. My family now knows that's not an adjustable time for me. They cannot be dynamic with my schedule. They really pay attention to the fact, oh, it's Saturday morning. We can't ask Mom to do this for us because that's the time of her tennis game. And that was one of my life skills in order to taking care of my own life. One of the things I realized was that every single one of us adults, just like kids, we prefer static organization. When we have a dynamic task, when we've got a task that requires us to think in many different ways, it's a long-term assignment, there's many different parts that spill into the task, one of the first things we do to approach that task is we try and make it more static. We break it down. We define specific times in our schedule that we're going to work on that task. We define what the priority is for that task. We then chunk it and work specifically on that one element of the dynamic task, because we know that if we do all of these little elements in a row day after day after day, we're slowly chipping away at this longer term project, which we're ultimately going to get done. What we need to do with our students is really work on understanding the dynamic load and the problems of those constantly shifting assignments and workloads. And the ultimate goal is to break the dynamic task down into much more structured, much more concrete way, so that the students can start to see that they can make some very predictable, time-chunked elements out of their workload, and so that they can figure out what exactly they're supposed to do today, rather than just have it swimming in their head what it is that they realize this assignment is coming up, but they have no means for being able to tackle it.